really how you did it. Your letters were filled with, wonderful stories of holding food drives and beautifying parks and making care packages for our troops and writing postcards to their families. You helped your neighbors in Foggy Bottom dig out after Snowmageddon, an effort spurred by Allie. And led by Junior Eden Sutley, you helped more than 1,000, hey Eden, yay for Eden. You helped more than 1,000 World War II veterans from her home state of Louisiana come to see the monuments on this mall and visit their fallen friends at Arlington. You hosted about 200 local senior citizens for GW's 8th annual senior prom. And yes, I saw the photos, and it looked like they were showing you all how to dance. GW law students, you showed a greater commitment to community and public service careers than ever before. GW medical school students, they ran their own clinic in Anacostia for our neighbors most in need of medical aid, and so many students wanted to do it that you had to hold a lottery. And more than 500 of you spent Martin Luther King Jr. Day at Roosevelt Senior High School here in D.C. You repainted the classrooms and revamped the athletic facility. You updated the library. You all restored an entire school. And just think about that. What was just a few hours to you is going to make the difference for thousands of young lives for years to come. And those are just some of the stories that I've read in your letters. But what you may not know is that the people whose lives you've touched, they also sent me letters. One was from a local retirement community for veterans and their spouses. On September 11th, the day that I issued the challenge to you, more than 100 of you hopped on a bus and spent the day there. And the letter described in moving detail how you altered your plans to stay an extra hour so you could keep talking with an original Tuskegee Airman. How you decided to set up regular visits with the veterans. How you started a monthly intergenerational discussion group. I mean, the letter went on and on about just how incredible you were. And it described just what your efforts meant to those veterans. But it also showed me what theirs meant to you. And that's what you guys have done. Simply because this university decided to play a role in the life of its neighbors. You have made immeasurable differences in the life of this community and to your country, and you should be so proud because we certainly are. And for every act of service that you performed for the community here in D.C., you committed yourselves to serving the greater global community as well. I'm talking about the more than 200 of you who took your winter breaks abroad, building a school in Guatemala, community center in Peru, comforting the sick in Ecuador, the freshman who spent his break in Ghana, helping prevent blindness, and the students who helped Sudanese refugees settle in Tennessee, stepping in one night to teach when the refugees' English teacher didn't show up. A class that the refugees called their very best. So even as you buried yourselves in your books, becoming thoughtful and educated scholars, so parents, they did that, right? You've also immersed yourselves in your community, becoming active and engaged citizens. You have fully joined a generation of activists and doers. And when you think about how your generation has come of age, that's pretty astounding. I mean, you all have seen so much just since you were in middle school. You've witnessed terrorism touch our soil. You've seen the cost of war reach into our communities. You've watched unimaginable devastation and suffering in the aftermath of a tsunami, a hurricane, an earthquake. You felt the wrath of a recession that's changed your towns and even your families. Now that's a whole lot to bear for any generation. So no one would have blamed you had you chosen to hunker down and turn inward. If you had simply focused on making sure